Okay, hello saplings. It's time for our first reading lesson. And I'm going to start off by saying I'm kind of made a mistake. I don't have the actual book with me. I was scanning it here on my home computer, or my home printer, and then my printer broke, so I went up to school to scan it there, and then I left the book at school. But I mean, I have the text from what I scanned for you guys. I just won't be able to, show it and hold it up. So we're figuring this out. Next reading lesson might be a little bit more yeah, you can see more than just me sitting here. But so we're going to read a nonfiction narrative today, and the reading skill that we're going to focus on is drawing conclusions. Drawing conclusions is a lot like making inferences. It's basically like making a smart guess, and we do this all the time. Like, for example, if the temperature drops and it gets really dark all of a sudden and the wind is blowing, we might draw a conclusion that it's getting ready to storm. Um, Another example would be, a lot of people were drawing conclusions that we were going to be out of school for the coronavirus based on things that we were hearing in the news and what was happening in other countries, and then that's ended up what happened. So it's taking those clues that you see and making a smart guess. So in reading, that's what we do. The author doesn't say everything in the text. We take those clues and make a guess. And sometimes we look for details on why. In this case, the author is telling the story of this process, so we get to see the story from the author's point of view, and so we'll discuss that, why the author might have thought certain things, drew his own conclusions in certain ways. So if you want to read along with me, I'll be reading your story. You can, of course, fast forward, and if you don't want to hear me read with you, that's fine. You don't have to. But we'll start. And unfortunately, I don't know the name of this story because, again, I messed up and I didn't scan that page, and then I don't have the book. So it's called something about like the Albertosaurus fossil discovery, something like that. And I can't remember the author, unfortunately, because it's his story and it's his point of view, but it's not Albert. It might say in the reading, I can't remember. So let's go ahead and get started on page 60, Searching Without a Map. I won't read the captions and things. I'll let you guys go and look for that. I'll just read the text. Philip Curry, that's who it is. Philip Curry was thirsty and tired. It was one of the hottest summer days of 1997. He and his team were looking for fossils that belonged to a dinosaur called Albertosaurus. Almost 90 years earlier, a famous fossil hunter named Barnum Brown had found a fossil field in western Canada's Badlands. Many Albertosaurus were buried in it, and Philip was trying to find this place again. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Brown had not made a map. Brown had not made a map or written down where he had found the fossils. Philip had a few clues, just some notes and 4 old photos. Page 62, Discovery. The team was running out of water. Everyone except Philip went back to the camp. He continued on with the search. Sandflies and mosquitoes bit him. His head hurt. Philip had seen the remains of Brown's campsite earlier in the day, and he knew the bones must be close. All alone, Philip climbed another hill. He stopped to hold up a photo. It looked just like the scene in front of him. He could see that years ago someone had dug into the rock there. Philip had found Brown's bone bed. Page 64. Barnum the Bone Hunter. Barnum Brown grew up in Kansas in the late 1800s. His family dug and sold coal. Young Barnum saw his first fossil when the family plow accidentally pulled one out of the ground. Brown went on to study fossils. He found that he liked digging up bones more than learning about them in class. So he left Columbia University to become a bone hunter for the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. Brown was very good at finding fossils. Henry Fairfield Osborn, the head of the museum, joked that Brown could smell fossils. News writers called him Mr. Bones. Page 65, finding the first T-Rex. In the early 1900s, Brown dug up Tyrannosaurus Rex skeletons, first in Wyoming and later in Montana. These were the first T-Rex skeletons ever found. For several years, Brown returned to Montana to dig for fossils. The bones he found there were often stuck in hard rock. He sometimes used dynamite to get them out. Then, in 1910, a terrible thing happened to Brown's life. His wife died. Brown tried to forget his sadness by hunting for more fossils. He rafted down Red Deer River Canyon in Canada. He camped in the area and looked for bones. Soon, Brown made a surprising discovery. Page 66. Finding many meat eaters. In Canada, Brown found a place where many skeletons were buried. The skeletons belonged to Albertosaurus, a large meat-eating dinosaur. It was the first time anyone had found the bones of so many meat-eating dinosaurs in the same spot. Brown dug up some of the bones. He wrote only a few lines about his find, but didn't say how unusual it was. He didn't say why he thought so many individuals of the same species were together. He didn't tell what this discovery might mean. The Albertosaurus bones were sent to the museum and put away. There they lay in a basement storage room for many years with other dinosaur fossils. Page 67, a fierce family. Albertosaurus was part of a family of fierce, meat-eating dinosaurs called Tyrannosaurids. Tyrannosaurus rex was also part of this family. Albertosaurus was smaller than Tyrannosaurus rex, but it was strong. Albertosaurus could see and smell well. It had many sharp teeth. Its huge, powerful jaws could crush bone. Like Tyrannosaurus rex, Albertosaurus lived and hunted alone. At least, that's what paleontologists thought. One man was about to change their thinking, however. He had some ideas about these ancient creatures. Page 68, Philip Currie's question. In 1976, Philip Currie read what Brown wrote about the site full of Albertosaurs. At that time, most paleontologists thought Tyrannosaurids lived alone. If so, asked Philip, why were many of these animals buried together? Had they died together? Had they lived together? Some plant-eating dinosaurs had lived in groups. Maybe some of the meat-eaters that hunted them did too, thought Philip. After all, big groups of animals were hard to hunt alone. Maybe Albertosaurs hunted in packs. Philip was busy learning about many kinds of fossils in dinosaurs, however. He put his question away for many years, just as Brown had put away his fossils. Page 69, the bones in the basement. Philip thought about his questions again 20 years later. This time, however, something happened that made him hunt for answers. Philip came across some Albertosaurus bones in the basement of the American Museum of Natural History, the museum where Barnum Brown had worked. He could tell that the bones were from the Badlands in Canada, where Brown had been searching for fossils. Philip saw that Brown had found at least 9 Albertosaurs in one spot. He also saw that Brown had taken only a few bones from each animal. More bones were still buried in the Badlands, waiting to be discovered. Page 70, the bones in the Badlands. Philip discovered more than bones at the museum. He also found Brown's field notes and a photo of Brown's site. Using these clues, Philip was able to find the bone bed. Page 71. Locating the spot was just the first step, however. Philip and his team worked for months to dig out each fossil. At least 22 Albertosaurs were buried in the rock. After the work was done, a new question came up. Did finding many fossils together prove that the animals had lived, died, and even hunted as a group? Page 72. What may have happened? Philip knew there could be other reasons for the fossils being together. Many of these ideas only brought up more questions, however. For example, the Albertosaurus could have died in quicksand, yet different kinds of dinosaurs could die in quicksand. Philip had found the fossils of only one kind, Albertosaurus. Maybe the Albertosaurus had gathered to lay eggs. If so, however, the fossils should have been about the same age and size. Yet Philip had found small, young animals as well as large, old animals. Philip's hunt had ended, yet he needed more evidence to show that the meat eaters had lived together. Page 73, more groups of meat eaters. More evidence came when a paleontologist named Rodolfo Coria phoned Philip. Coria was calling from Argentina. He also had found a spot where a group of meat-eating dinosaurs was buried, so perhaps meat eaters did live in groups after all. Scientists found more places with groups of meat-eating dinosaurs. These places were all over: Arizona, Montana, South Dakota, Utah, Mongolia, and Zimbabwe. Philip also looked carefully at the footprints of meat-eating dinosaurs in the Peace River Canyon of Canada. The footprints showed that meat-eating dinosaurs may have traveled together. Page 75, digging deeper. Did some meat-eating dinosaurs spend time living and hunting together? Scientists still aren't sure. They can only make smart guesses based on the fossils they have found. Other questions are still unanswered as well. Why did the Albertosaurus at Brown site die? What killed so many animals at one time? A big storm? A forest fire? Philip Currie says that a paleontologist is like a detective. The mysterious death happened millions of years ago. No one saw it. Using clues, the scientist tries to tell what happened, how, and why. As long as there are fossils waiting to be found, the investigation continues. Okay, so that is the end of our story. If you look on page 76, this is talking about, and down here at the bottom you'll see the little graphic organizer that you can complete, or you can just list your conclusion with your details from the story. This is the most important part, your text evidence, your details. So it gives you a prompt. It says in the third paragraph, look back at page 60 and 61. This is the beginning of the selection, but you can already tell that Philip Currie has a difficult job. There are details in the text, but also look at the section heading. Combine the text evidence with what you already know to draw conclusions. So why the conclusion would be that it was a difficult job that Currie had. What details from the text will lead to that conclusion? Another conclusion that you could draw, or that Currie drew, was that meat-eating dinosaurs also live together in groups, and that's actually kind of the main thing that our story is about. So you should be able to find a lot of text evidence for that. And if you come up with any other conclusions that you draw that you've made a smart guess on based on clues from the writing, please write them down along with your details and your text evidence. So complete this graphic organizer for at least one conclusion that you draw. Bonus points if you do two or more. And then questions are on page 78 where it says your turn. It says you can talk with a partner about these, but I mean, if you want to talk with your parents or a sibling or whoever, but basically on a sheet of paper, write down your response to questions 1, 2, 3. And if you want to, the bonus for the turn and talk. At least think about those things. So, and then on Wednesday, I put on your work plan writing. That is referring to on page 79 where it says write about reading. Response: Philip Currie found Barnum Brown's bone bed after the rest of the team had gone back to camp. What do you think might have happened if Philip had returned with the rest of his team? Would he have found the bone bed? Use text evidence to support your answer. Okay, so you're, again, drawing a conclusion. Writing tip, it says, as you write, check that you use the correct verb tense to tell about action that happened in the past. So, yep, using your past tense verbs. I would encourage you to have a topic sentence on complete sentence on what you think would have happened. So, for example, if Philip had returned with the rest of his team, I think he would have found the bone bed, or I think he would not have found the bone bed, and then give your details. So, yep, that's your paragraph writing that goes along with the story that you can do on Wednesday, or you can do all of this on Monday. If you want to do graphic organizer Monday, questions Tuesday, writing Wednesday, great. But that's just your suggestion. So enjoy answering your questions, drawing conclusions. I encourage you to go back and reread this again. And definitely go back and look through at all of the cool captions and text features, because I did not read those. There's a lot of additional fun facts and information to learn about the Albertosaurus, like how did Albertosaurus get its name? It wasn't because some dude named Albert discovered it. Why did it get its name? It's there in your text features. So enjoy uncovering and digging through and finding new information and learning. Yay! All right, I'll see you guys later.